Okay, so let's open this one. The original. Translation. Professor Yang. And glossary. Okay, so the main place where it's different is here, this piece. Okay, so you said it like this. So how do you want to change it? Just read it to me, read it to me. Secondly,
the word honest was
the world honored one.
EPS， 然后 spirit and tradition of means place spirit.
Wait, spirit and tradition of describing
the Sa-Vaka Vinaya.
怎样? This is not a sentence. 这不是一句话吗? Not a sentence.
这不是一个 sentence.
这不是一个 sentence. Yeah, it's not a sentence. I would need to Okay, so what we are talking about, looking at it from the aspect. So I would have to say that again. Secondly, the aspect. And this I would have to change. Secondly, the aspect of the world-honored one, spirit and tradition for or behind or something like that. But you see, a tradition, you can't have a tradition of spirit and tradition. You see, the spirit of prescribing, tradition of prescribing. Secondly, the aspect of the world-honored one's spirit and tradition of prescribing the Shravaka Vinaya. If you say the tradition of doing this means, 他一直这样做，一直这样做. You see? Common fact. The practice and common practice. How about convention? Convention is a common practice. So this is what we did, Sophia. You missed the afternoon. This is what happened. Okay? You gave me this, right? And then I took it and I just made some, I kept exactly what you said. All I do is change the grammar a little bit. So you have okay? And we can read it. And then I sent it back to you. Then Ginny took Fa-tzang Fa's original Chinese and rewrote it closer to American thinking and English grammar style. And then we took that and translated it, edited it into English, but keeping every single piece of what you said, just put in different places, made bits of changes, okay? And then there's only two places that are really different between you and Ginny. This piece, so now we just edited that piece into this piece, okay? Okay, so this is the way Ginny did it, and we have to see if Fa-tzang Fa will accept, because what she added was, she made it more like 此地, you know, 她把那个此地比较明显. First this, then this, then this, then this, you know, because of this, because of this, because of this, and then this one has 3 parts, and then this one has many parts, you see? So 很乱就在这里。为了这3样东西，而且每一个东西也有很多部分，很多 parts, so it's really crazy. But anyway, I'll just read it to you so you can see how it worked. This is what you said. Nevertheless, the Buddha would definitely not have mistakenly forgotten to talk about it. Okay, so we're talking about this. 2 codes, you know, from the Mahayana perspective of the Buddha, that is how they see the Buddha. All of the Buddha's actions should accord with the 3 benefits to sentient beings, namely enabling the true Dharma. Okay, so you should say Sangha, right? The first one, enabling the true Dharma to last forever, skillfully and artfully connecting with and guiding all sentient beings, and instructing sentient beings to enlighten them through the only Buddha vehicle. Okay? Okay? So we have two sentences here. So the first sentence says that he was not mistaken. Okay, why are we saying that? Because if you look at it from, from this perspective, the Buddha has to do these two things. A Buddha will do these two things. Okay? Then, added to this, 就是上面这个 the Buddha, 那我们开始形容他 okay? And this is from the Mahayana perspective. Okay? This also Mahayana perspective. Added to this, the Buddha was sufficient in the great wisdom of three awarenesses, and super normal powers, 10 powers, forms of fearlessness. Okay? So he had all those abilities. Next sentence. Okay, 但是这是连起来的 He could clearly, because it's too long, he could clearly observe causes and conditions and effects. And he had attained correct fearless and enlightenment. And he was exceptional at teaching people to tame their minds. Okay? So all of that. Okay? Therefore, 那这个是来看 OK 这个是那个来看现在是在这里 OK 这里的来看 is 上面的 OK Therefore, looking at the Buddha's intentions from these points, 就是上面这么多的 point, we see that using Vinaya for local conditions and this, 他为什么用这两个东西？就是让这些，就是这些在持戒的人不会破戒。And we now say to exempt, okay, 就是开源 to 开源 to exempt practitioners from Vinaya violation. Okay? We see that using this and this, okay, to exempt, 为了 exempt practitioners, 持戒者 from Vinaya violation. Okay, 这是世君的 spirit and purpose for stipulating Sravaka Vinaya. Okay? 就是为了这样子，所以就是 Sravaka Vinaya 他治这个 Sravaka Vinaya 的目的的精神 OK 叫他们来用这个 OK Right? But yet 虽然 that minor precepts are although 虽然但是呢虽然这些小节是什么呢虽然它很重要 and needs to be clarified 而且要说明说清楚 the disciples did not ask 它是什么 why? Because they have not yet correctly and fearlessly been enlightened to Samayasam. Okay? 否则佛陀 wait he would definitely otherwise he would definitely not permit this to become an eternal mystery. 他不会把事情搞得跟是一个疑问 Okay, so that's what you said. Now the way Ginny rewrote the Chinese is like this. Okay, Ginny, can you please read the Chinese?
大乘佛佛观等的四方面，首先佛陀之所以要开源，十方譬喻及十小小戒的用意，是根据声闻戒的精神与惯例。第三，佛陀大智慧，三明六通，实力事无畏惧，测见因缘法，正遍知，善于调理众生。第四，佛陀所行必符三世利益，可谓令正法得度，方便减少牵引众生，开示误入众生不活胜。来看，佛陀绝不会将小小戒勿忘 却因地址并非正面之等部分，而放任其成为千古谜团。
Okay? So the main question now is this Chinese? Is this a good representation of the meaning behind this? Is it the same? It's only a better, clearer explanation of that. Are they the same? Everybody agree? That's the main thing we have to decide on.
One.
Okay.
According to the Chinese, I asked Venerable Fa-tzang, 那个大乘佛陀观 this point 是在那个下面，是佛陀所行第13世那边的观，不是整个的观。因为当初佛陀观它不可能自身的。
Okay. Well, so what you're saying is, 这个不是全部是佛陀的观点，是那个马哈亚纳的观点。马哈亚纳的观点就这小部分而已。Okay, so 马哈亚纳的观点就是这个。Okay. Everybody understand that now?
所以那个什么，他的意思是说有4件事情，可是只有后面那一件事情，这所行3事才是大乘佛陀观，其他的不是，其他的。
Okay, well that's not a problem. Okay, so that what we have to do here with Jinnys is looking at it from the Mahayana perspective of the Buddha. Wait, don't make me confused. Don't talk anymore. Just don't let anybody talk. Okay, looking at it from the Mahayana perspective of the Buddha, all of the Buddha's actions definitely accord with 3 benefits to sentient beings, namely breath. Okay? Okay? Then here, we can also say, besides this, intended to accept practices from any other violation of the Buddha. Okay. Also, looking at this from the aspect of the world-honored ones, looking at this from the aspect of the world-honored one's spirit and convention for describing this with Savaka. This is also different from these, so very different. Okay? Finally, besides this, I don't want to say finally, because they're not true. The Buddha was sufficiently great for them. And this. Careful. the Buddha would definitely not have mistakenly. Also, you see? So, Ginny, basically what I'm just taking out is those aspects, that's all. You know, not much change. I don't have to make many changes. You see? You see, basically that's the only change you have to make to what you said. But to, you see, this is also very clear. 就像我说的嘛，你们怎么写，你们怎么想的都可以翻。You know, I don't know who's correct. But Sophia, 你这个部分 is very different.
Yeah.
So who's correct? Because this is like totally different. 这个也不是说有一点点。This is like totally different. So, how many people think this?
Excuse me, let me explain this. My translation is not like that.
Okay. How should I say it then? Therefore, looking at the Buddhist
It's
intention.
two things, but you combine them into one thing.
Right. So you also want two things.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me divide it. Therefore, looking at the Buddhist intention from these points, we see that using Vinaya for local conditions and circumstances, we see that, okay, don't talk to anybody. We see that the Buddha used, use Vinaya for local conditions to extend practitioners for that. Okay? Okay, that's one thing. Okay, how do I make that a sentence?
Yeah. I only use that.
Now, how do I do that?
And it's still the
What do I do with this piece? That piece in Chinese is what?
佛陀是声闻是有意义管理。
Do you agree? Okay, so the other thing we need to, okay, so you accept that this is okay, what she said here? Okay, so what are we doing now? So you see the other thing that we have to, besides that point there, that piece, this, the other thing we have to look at is 这个次序. Okay, because the way Sophia is beginning is by saying, 佛陀绝对不会这样做，因为从马哈亚纳的角度来看，而且佛陀有这些能力，因此，你是他用这个东西，他用这个戒律，要让这些修行者都不会过界在。This is, I don't know what to put it, you know. and then although, okay? So that's what you're saying. But the way Ginny is saying is like, 从这个角度来看，然后那个重点呢 she put at the very end. Your first sentence, you made the last sentence. You say, therefore, you see the difference? That's a big difference. One is making this the opening sentence. One is making this the conclusion. Okay? So 有一个是把它的第一句话就是开头的那个，第二个呢就是把它当做一个结论。So how should we put it? 我们要先把这个就搞定 and then the others we can just put together.
Okay, let me explain another.
Okay, go ahead.
Here, Fa-tzang have three conclusions. One is the Buddha definitely not forgotten. Yeah, this is the first conclusion. The other is he will never let go of it becoming internal history.
Yes.
Yeah. So I separate the two conclusions. One is first, and the other is last.
Oh. Nevertheless, the Buddha would definitely not have been saying that I tell you about it. Okay? Then this is one from the Mahaya perspective. Okay, that's why. Okay, now the next one is I think we need to move that forward. You see, because here, you make your main point here. You're making your main point here. And then you're like giving it support. So if you want to do that way, I think the next conclusion we should also put here. I think the next conclusion we should put here. And then use this as supporting material. Okay? So where does the next conclusion begin?
I see. Then it becomes nothing like conclusion.
Where?
Yeah. Although.
And then I think this should be the last sentence. I think this should be the closing sentence of this paragraph. You see? I think that this piece here, this conclusion here.
But in Chinese, it's one point.
I know, but it shouldn't be. That's why I said we should write here. Because that's a very powerful piece. That's very powerful. That's like the whole conclusion of all the multiple things. So that's why I think that this should then go up here. You see, so basically, this piece is just saying that this is talking about something totally different, okay? So this piece is a little bit like weird to me, like the way it sits there, because this is, he's not supporting this with any information. I think we would have to say something like, is it possible that this is a reason? You're jam, your jams are not. You see what I'm saying? Because this piece here, you know, here it's talking all about the Buddha. From the Mahayana perspective, you know, the Buddha would definitely not do that because of these three reasons.
So that in the second.
I think we need to find a place for this piece. This whole piece is very clear. You know, this is very clear. The Buddha had this, the Buddha could see this, therefore look at the Buddha's intentions. You know, he created these, you know, to exempt them from this, okay? This chunk, I don't know where this should go either. And then I think the Buddha would definitely not permit. And then, you know, like you said, Jimmy, you know, this is a very good conclusion for the whole paragraph. But this one I don't know where to put. And this one I think is weird. Okay? So how do you fix it?
Homework.
No, because we still have 27 minutes. We're going to finish Fa-tzang. We decided to do Fa-tzang 1 hour and then Benyin for 1 hour.
What are you doing?
We just did Fa-tzang for the whole afternoon. We did this, but then we did more. We did a lot of stuff down here. I'll email it to you. Well, I did email it to you. But we decided to do one more help. So let's try to finish this now. This piece I think is done. This piece to me is very fine. Okay? I think this is no problem. Okay? So Ginny, I think we will use what Sophia did because it's closer to the Chinese. And like I said, I prefer the translation as much as possible to follow the Chinese so that when American people who are learning Chinese read it, they can go back and forth and they see, oh, this is this and this is this. But if this is like on page 5, you know, it really confuses people. Okay, so let's work with this one. All right? But that's the only thing we change between hers and yours is this, and then the topic, the conclusions. That's all we did. But basically everything else is there. It's all there. Okay? So my feeling is that this section is okay. Does everybody agree? Okay, so she pulled this piece up and put it in the front. Okay? The Mahayana perspective, what is a Buddha? Okay, she put that in the front. Now, if we're working from the back forward, you know, this chunk here Do we really have to move it around like that? We really can't just follow his flow and just break it into sentences?
In the Facebook, he said he's also
He can't change anything, right? Okay. 那就是我们要自己分，
yeah.
而且我们也要补充，就是重复讲一些。Okay. Okay. So should we keep Jinny's Chinese? Is Jinny's Chinese a better explanation? Because if Jinny's Chinese is a better explanation, we might as well just keep that, you know, which is a better way of understanding. I mean, 你们中国人来看这个的时候，看这个的时候，你们看这个都没问题了。
没有问题。
你们看这个都没有问题。
没有问题。
Okay. So 教这个中文，你们中文你们觉得是没有问题 ，OK？ 现在的英文的问题是什么？你要给他翻成英文是太长的一句话，不可能理解他在说什么 ，OK？ Therefore, we must divide it. We must divide it into sections and 补充一些资料，不是补充资料，就是重复说一些 ，OK？ So this piece here, the main reason we are having this trouble is because his line kan is 20 lines down, okay? We would have to in English say, you know, looking at it from the perspective of at the very beginning. That's the main thing we have to say. Okay? Now, if we want to make Jie-lun at the end, as a result of this, these two teachings have existed in name only, since most Vinaya masters over the centuries had, for the most part, no means of reliably and adroitly adapting these two codes of conduct to the conditions of people upholding the precepts. Okay? Now we have to join this with this. So, nevertheless, the Buddha would definitely not have mistakenly forgotten to talk about it. You see, this, I think, should be the beginning. Right?
In English, the conclusion also is the topic sentence, the
Yeah.
thesis. So since there are two conclusions, when do we make one on the top and the other in the end? Because
Yeah.
they echo.
Yeah. And I think that the one at the end is this one. I think this is the one at the end. Because it echoes, yes. It repeats what he said at the very beginning. Okay. Yeah, it's a good conclusion. And it's a good opening sentence. Okay. So now we have a good opening sentence and a good conclusion. Okay. Now what we have to do is explain it. My only question, I think it's all fine. My only problem is this thing talking about the disciples is like a little bit out of place. We're talking about the Buddha has all these abilities, therefore, you know, he would never do this. But this thing about the disciples doesn't fit anywhere. And then also this section here, I don't know where this fits. She made this into one aspect. There are 4 aspects, and this is another aspect. Okay? And then, do we want to do that? Make it an aspect?
Yeah, actually, my translation is wrong. That is, I cannot use therefore. There is none.
Okay, so where should I put that?
因为我需要一个连接词 so I use therefore. But actually, maybe it's not.
Also, it should be also.
应该是在那个上面。
Where?
上面。因为那个 therefore here，therefore 这个 therefore 其实我只是为了要连接词，那它变成是一个 conclusion。这个地方你可以用没有？可以用 also。
Okay, now we did clean that up. Now where do we put this thing about the monks? I made Kaiwu. That is just like, to me, that's like, you know, that's just like so out of place in this thinking. So where would you put that? Ginny put it.
Another eternal, talks about another eternal history.
But I don't think it fits there. I don't think this is otherwise. I just think the Buddha wouldn't do that. I don't think we could stick these two together. I think should be another aspect. You see, what he's trying to say, I think what he's trying to say is that it has to be because they are not enlightened, so they didn't ask. That's the reason. It's not because Buddha decided not to tell. It's because they decided not to ask. You know? So we have to make this much stronger. So we would have to change this to, okay, where should I put this? Where should I put this point? Okay, we're working from Sophie's piece. Okay. So where in Sophie's piece should I put this point that, you know, it's not because they didn't know. Should I put it up here? But you see, here we're talking about an aspect of the Buddha. Here we're talking about an aspect of the Buddha. So I really don't think it should go in between those two. Because it's like, I think that Ginny putting in the back is correct. Oh, thank you. Dinner time. Okay, I think okay, so here's another aspect, you know. I really don't know where to stick it. Because this is talking about the Buddha definitely would not do that. Okay? He had to follow these things based on the Mahayana perspective. Also, The Buddha had all these special powers. He could do this, he could do this, he could do this. And then he also, you know, the convention of prescribing precepts, that's what he did, you know. And then, okay, so these two go together. These two go together. Okay, why do they go together? Because here we're talking about, there's the convention of prescribing and fit. You see? He has a convention of prescribing Vinaya. You see? And, you know, therefore, the Buddha, you know, intended to use these to exempt the Sangha. Okay, yeah, let's take over. Okay, my logic flow is like this. This is the opening sentence. He definitely would not forget. Okay? The reason for that, the supporting information, is that from the Mahayana perspective, he does this, you know. He wants the Dharma to last forever. He wants to guide all sentient beings skillfully. You know, he wants to teach all sentient beings to become enlightened to the only Buddha vehicle. You know, he's not going to forget, okay? And then besides that, you know, and then besides this, you know, the Buddha was sufficient in all these amazing powers, you know. And then if you look at this from the perspective of, you know, the spirit and convention of prescribing the Sravaka Vinaya, okay, the Buddha intended to use, the Buddha intended to use this and this to exempt practitioners from Vinaya violation. You see? So he had the spirit and convention of creating Sravaka Vinaya, but also, you know, he intended to let them 开源 and the 开源的方法就是用这两个，所以未来的出家人you know, 不会破戒。You see, so these two go together. You see? But here, I think this is the main thing. You know? So the thing is, what he's trying to, what Fa-tzang is telling us is that in spite of being really indeed very important and needing clarification, the disciples did not ask. Okay? The disciples did not ask. Which are the minor precepts. Because they have not yet been correctly and fearlessly enlightened. Okay? And then in conclusion, The Buddha would definitely not permit which are the minor precepts to become an internal mystery. That, I think, is very logical from my thinking, my cursing. From my thinking, this is the flow. And then we could just keep Fa-tzang Fa-shi the nigga suofa. We're not changing this. We'll just keep like what he said there, you know, and then we just delete this. Alright?
The question about the besides you use. If you use
Oh no, I didn't really. I'm just putting it into, okay? But if everybody agrees with that logic, now we go back and we fix the grammar. Okay? Okay, I'll keep Ginny's version in case we have a problem. Let's just keep this because who knows what the future will be.
peace and love.
Yeah. Ginny, what's your color? This one?
No.
This one.
是比较深的颜色。
Okay, then you have to go here. We'll go through it. Then you go to Chi-Ha. There. Okay. Okay, let's just keep that in case.
是这样子的话，它这个大圣佛陀观要从4方面来看，因为那个我大圣佛陀观已经拿到下面去。
No, this is correct because J-Sanger just I already edited yours. Yours is already okay. I just took out all those 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Now we have to clean up the grammar. Okay. This is where I may have a little bit of jinx in the point, but we will work the best we can. 一个小小的问题肯定是我的最大的一个烦恼。
那就不要问好了。
如果你还是要问 ，OK， 刚才我们问的，
那个生两个，那就是说，那你这样子讲的话，就是把生它两个结论的话，其实是分成跟上面4件事情是分成2个部分来讲，对。它的那个
Actually， 它的2个结论是一个结论。
对啊，可是你这样子写的话，就变成是2件事情。
No， 它是一个
是没有忘记讲，然后一个是那个千古谜团，对不对？那你千古谜团，你讲的千古谜团是因为有
第一个就是他不可能忘记，第二个他不可能让我们是。
对，这是2个啊。可是你这样写的时候，我会有一点乱掉的意思，就是说你这样子变成说，他那个开源随方譬喻跟蛇小小就的，还有那个他的那个惯例的话，只是在讲说那个没有你在用这2个意见来讲，说没有忘记，然后你才用他的那些事情。
我们在用中间这所有的话来说明前面后，中间的这些话是补充前面，而且作为后面 ，it supports both ideas。对，里面这些例子、这些理由，全部都是支持前跟后，不是支持一个而不支持一个。Okay? Yeah. Okay. Nevertheless, okay, the main thing that we always have to do is always connect with the previous. You know? You always have has to reappear or a concept has to reappear. But in English, you must take something from here and start with that. That's how we do it in our grammar. You can't just jump into something totally different. That's how we think. So, as a result of this, you see, this is this. As a result of this, this is joining with this. You see, back then is talking about these times. You see, everything refers back to one. So we have idiom, trend, so when you do translation, that is when sometimes you have to 重复 because Chinese doesn't have that in their grammar. Because you have something called 默契 based on 5,000 years of speaking, thinking, and following the exact same thing. Okay? 同意就是和谐，和谐就是和平。OK， 不同意的人全部都被干掉了，所以你的 DNA 已经没有那个
抗议的，
对啊，
没有不同意。
你看香港，他们已经开始不来。It's what 1 week. Okay, so therefore, we have to, for our thinking, we can't jump around. 因为我们没有你们的那个默契。So we have to 创造这个默契。Okay, so for some time now, okay, back then, as a result of this, these two teachings have existed in name only. That's the thing. 没有人在执行，没有人改 because we don't know what it is. Since most Vinaya masters, all the centers have for the most part nothing reliable, nothing adroit to help them adapt these codes to conditions, you see.
Why you use for the most part? I didn't see the
大部分
他用是 most， 是指那个 most 的那样的。
大部无法 ，so 大部分 Vinaya master 无法。
这句话是这个大都是在讲前面那个戒律，没有办法，所以这边我用 most。中文
是的，历代以来的。Okay, so that's on the most. Thank you. Goody, goody, goody. Over the centuries had no means of reliably and adroitly adapting these two codes of conduct to the conditions of people upholding the precepts. Okay? Okay? So, nevertheless, we can't use nevertheless. You see? Because if we say nevertheless, it means that opposite this. You see? Over the centuries, they could not reliably and adroitly adapt these. Nevertheless, now we can. You see? Nevertheless, we can do it now. Nevertheless is like opposite of it. You see? He said he doesn't know what to do. Nevertheless, he did something, you know. So we can't use nevertheless here. This is supporting.
Nevertheless 是要用来讲，因为这一段的前面是在讲说，佛陀勿忘会说，所以导致后面这样的状况。但是其实佛陀并没有勿忘会说。
So can we say however?
Yeah,
let's say however.
I don't know.
However means now I'm giving you different information.
Nevertheless.
Huh?
Nevertheless.
It was nevertheless. I took it out. Because I think never. Did you have dinner?
No, I was supper.
Because you're sitting here 4 or 5 hours. I think however is okay. The reason for that is because this is really strong. We're definitely not happy. Okay? So we cannot change this. We cannot make this, you know, they don't know how to adapt. However, we do adapt. You see, if we say nevertheless, we say like, even though we don't know, we have no means, nevertheless, we are adapted. But that's not what he's talking about. Now we're going to talk about something else. But however, the Buddha would definitely not have mistakenly forgotten to talk about it. Can't have an opening sentence with a pronoun. You can't start a sentence with it in a new section like this. Yeah, he did down here, you see. Here. He used quotes. But it means 强调语气. It's not quote. 因为前面没有提。
是他的理论经历，是他自己的理论。所以我们这边是用 Fa-tzang， 然后后面又改成mistaken 的标号单，对，其实他只是要强调一个。
What page is that? 30. That's pretty far in the end. The first time he said it was there.
We use Fa-tzang， 下面一段也是用 Fa-tzang。
也只要你看到这里，你要提早告诉我，因为全部都要改。
第二段。
那这里它没有空。OK。
等下，像在阿难尊者那里。
There's only one.
在这里，它下面阿难尊者一时会去听到会说，那个会说也是指佛陀会说，还有就像面。
This one?
No 19，前面那里。
Sixteen comment. Yeah, 16 comment. 对，会说。
会说，这个会说也是佛陀的会说。我在说是对，也是历史。
No, well, that's okay. Because we want to keep quoting it exactly the same. So that people know what we're referring to.
所以大家摄取那个什么，对哦，摄取跟选，
摄取会说，
摄取会说，
摄取会说。
Okay, so here's the first one. Mistakenly forgotten to mention. Here's the second one. Mistakenly forgotten to mention. Okay. Even though now Weishuo is an abbreviation, we still have to say the whole thing so we don't get confused. Because it's representing them. No, here Weishuo is silent. That the Buddha's silence has profound meaning. You see? So, not mentioning it Maybe I should say not mentioned, that the Buddha is not mentioning it. Chanting himself. Okay, actually I have to found meaning. That's the last one. 全部都好了吗？
到后面还有。
没有 this is the last one. And that's Ginny's piece. And that's what we're working on now. Okay. Isn't it great that we have a computer? Because it's so So this is a close. Where else? Is it any place else? Any quotes? Yeah, now we have to quote the city's mention. Is that the only place we say it? Okay, I guess so. Okay, however, the Buddha would definitely not have mistakenly forgotten to mention which are the minor precepts. Okay? Now we talk about this. From the Mahayana perspective of the Buddha, all of the Buddhist actions should accord with the three benefits to sentient beings, namely, enabling the true Dharma to last forever, skillfully and artfully connecting with and guiding all sentient beings, and instructing sentient beings to enlighten them to the only Buddha being. Besides this, the Buddha was sufficient in the great wisdom of the three awarenesses, 6 supernormal powers, 10 powers, and the 4 forms of fearlessness. He could clearly observe causes, conditions, and effects, and he had attained correct, fearless enlightenment. And he was exceptional at teaching people to take their mind.
Buddha. Well, I have a question about the usage of besides this. If you use as a besides is used as a preposition, it means rather than. If it is used as an adverb, it means in addition to. And which here you use besides this, that means would add it in or would in addition to.
Let's just say in addition to this.
Or apart from this.
You know, in addition to this is great. In addition to this, the Buddha was sufficient in great wisdom of the three awarenesses, 6 supernormal powers, 10 powers, and the 4 forms of fearlessness. Okay, that's the same. He could clearly observe causes, conditions, and effects, and he had attained correct fearless enlightenment. And he was exceptional at teaching people to take their mind. Looking at okay, we're not saying looking at what. I don't know what this is anymore. How about moreover? Moreover, the world honored, because he keeps adding information, you know. I did the outside, you know. It's like, God, please leave me alone, okay? I believe. You know, Jou-Yi believes. Moreover, the world honor one's spirit and convention of prescribing the Vinaya. Was the Buddha was the Buddha's intention to use? Moreover, the world honor one's spirit and convention of prescribing the Shravaka Vinaya. I can't say was. What? Then how do I make that some one thing? Moreover, there is the aspect of the world honor one's spirit and convention of prescribing the Shravaka Vinaya. Okay? And then we just go directly here. The Buddha also intended to use Vinaya for local. The Buddha also intended to use Vinaya for local conditions and circumstances, and we don't see why in the precepts, to exempt practitioners from Vinaya violation. Unfortunately, he didn't say future. You know what I'm saying? We can't add it either, can we add it? Call him. Where is he? India? Can we add future? If we add future, because his whole point is.
But here, 他的 intention 是小小戒可舍跟随方便 ，not exempting them from violation。所以要，
他用这两个来开源。
开源 actually it's a verb, not 开源。
Yes.
It's two different things. 开源是一个动词。
Right， 而且他的就是这个东西，开源就是这个，就是那个，
对啊，
那是动词啊。
对，但是他的 intention 是要小小戒可舍跟随方便。
这两个，
他不是要开源这件事情，他是用这开源小小戒可舍，
他是用这两件事情
来开源他的声闻戒。他是用这两件事情来开源他的声闻戒，而不是开源这两件事情。
他是用这两件事情，所以将来出家人不会破戒。
对，他治了声
因
闻戒，
为你可以小小戒可舍。
因为他治了声闻戒，所以他用小小戒可舍跟全方譬理来开源他原先定的这些戒律。
所以你们认为 intention 是指in the future？
No, not the intentions in the future. Intentions now, but for 因为那个时候你不可能小小戒可舍，因为那个时候全部都是要受。But when he said 小小戒可舍 and随方譬理 is for the future， 讲的不是现在，因为现在所有的神传都是要用的，都是他可以说这些戒律我们现在可以舍。 他都没有，这个都是讲未来的事情。But 他那个时候的意思是，这两个东西是为了将来修行者，未来的修行者。But he didn't say that， 他没有 say that， 所以就是因为他没有 say that， 所以感觉上就是佛陀旁边的可以是小小只，而且可以非常平。It doesn't really make sense. So that's why I said what I would like to do, the Buddha also did to Vinaya for local conditioning, renouncing it to exempt future practitioners, but we can't add anything unless he agrees. Or we can't phone him because he's in India. 好，不要去干那么多了。Let's just forget about it. 他这样写，我们这边是烂的。The Buddha also, what did you say, Vita?
然后只是接你的话，就是他的修行者也不只是未来，因为随方比，所以方还是不同。
Yeah, and 所以方那个时候是什么方？就是未来他们去哪里？不是现在我们在这里来进步。Okay. The Buddha, okay, so let's just go back and look at this. Moreover, there is the aspect of the world-honored Buddha spirit and convention of describing the Sravaka Vinaya. Now you see, this all flows together. Okay? So he has this spirit, he has this convention. Okay? This is what we do, this is what a Buddha does, he creates this. You see? I want to join those two together somehow. You know, he had this, but in this, he also had this intention. This intention is part of this spirit and convention.
不是，因为声闻界其实不见得是菩萨界，所以跟那个随方品或者长老界可能不见得成熟，所以这应该才是两件事。因为他是说看声闻界的世界的惯例跟
用意与
惯例，那当时的用意与惯例事实上不见得是为了大乘的菩萨界，对，所以这还是要两件事。
因为我刚刚就是觉得这里有一点怪怪的，因为你写在这里，然后又下面又讲到那个何望处，他在讲的事情马上搭不上。但是因为保证房子把两件事情连在一起。
没有，
他没有连在一起，是因为你翻译的关系，就把它放到一起。
是他没有放
一起，
但他放成4件事啊。
对，他放这2件事。所以这里的话，我那时候会觉得怪怪的，
所以我也是用一个 and， 我并没有把它做成一个，就是它也是2件事，但我只用一个 convention。
So we just need moreover. Now we'll go to the end. We just moreover. There is this aspect. You see?
Then this is
and this is another. The Buddha also intended to use Vinaya for those to examine practices from. Okay. And then there's this one. In spite of being very important and needing clarification, the disciples did not ask which were the minor precepts, because they had not yet been previously enlightened. No, it's a different. Which are the minor precepts? What the minor precepts are. Which are the minor precepts? It's just a teaching. Yeah, because I just changed it to something. You know, you ask what the minor precepts are, it just sounds weird in this sentence. So that's why I changed it to. Okay, and then Jiehun is this. You know, the Buddha would definitely not permit which are the minor. Here we can say it that way, but well, it's close to this. which are the minor precepts to become an eternal mystery. Okay? Thank God, we're finished again. Maybe we are all dead and we are all in hell, and this is our hell. Constantly translating the same thing over and over. You know, maybe this is our bardo stage. When I was a little child, I always had this, not dream, but sort of like a dream. Sort of like a dream. I don't know how to explain it. And I was sitting and I was doing this. Not Chinese, I don't know what the language was. But I was in like, it was like Egypt or something. Very dry, all the buildings were stone. I was sitting against the wall and I was writing, and people were sitting next to me speaking, and I was writing what they were speaking. I was a scribe, and it was like, and it kept coming. I mean, I was so young, you know. Yeah. So that's why I think I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. Yes, my niece. Yeah, thank you. That sounds so nice. Okay. Okay, let's practice our vocabulary pronunciation. However, the Buddha would definitely not have mistakenly forgotten to mention. Which are the minor precepts. From the Mahayana perspective of the Buddha. All of the Buddha's actions should accord with the three benefits to sentient beings. Namely, enabling the true Dharma to last forever. Skillfully and artfully connecting with and guiding all sentient beings. And instructing sentient beings. To enlighten them to the only Buddha vehicle. In addition to this, the Buddha was sufficient in the great wisdom of the three awarenesses, 6 supernormal powers, 10 powers, and the 4 forms of fearlessness. He could clearly observe causes, conditions, and effects. And he had attained correct, fearless enlightenment. Samyak Sambuddha. And he was exceptional at teaching people. To tame their minds. Moreover, there is the aspect of the world honored one's spirit and convention.
The world honors one's spirit and compassion.
Of prescribing the Shravaka Vinaya.
Of prescribing the Sravaka Vinaya.
The Buddha also intended to use
The Buddha also intended to use
Vinaya for local conditions and circumstances.
Vinaya for local conditions and circumstances.
And renouncing minor precepts.
And renouncing minor precepts.
To exempt practitioners from Vinaya violation.
To exempt practitioners from Vinaya violation.
In spite of being very important.
In spite of being very important.
And needing clarification.
And needing clarification.
The disciples did not ask.
The disciples did not ask.
Which are the minor precepts.
The minor precepts.
Because they had not yet been.
Because they had not yet been
Correctly and fearlessly enlightened.
correctly and fearlessly enlightened.
Samyak Sambuddha,
Samyak Sambuddha,
etc.
etc.
The Buddha would definitely not permit.
The Buddha would definitely not permit.
Which are the minor precepts.
Which are the minor precepts.
To become an eternal mystery.
To become an internal mystery.
Okay, and then we're just going to keep this for fallback in case we need to clarify something, or if Fa-tzang person really does edit it, he might edit it or rewrite it, revise it to fit this. So let's just keep this. Okay. Okay, so we are up to this. This is where we went up to, Sophia. Now let me send this to everybody again. Okay, let me email it to everyone. How many people are online watching?
2.
Do you know who they are?
And Michelle and Sophia.
Sophie.
Sophie, yeah. Sophie.
Okay, so Sophia, you are the contact person, so I'm putting your name first, so everybody can see it, so they know to contact. Is Michelle in this group? Who did you say is on there?
Michelle and Sophie.
Okay, so Michelle. We should send it to Kirsty too, right? 还是不用？不像不用。Jeffy、Jimmy，因为他回来3个礼拜以后又不一样了。Vic。How come you don't come up? Isn't that weird? I put you in here so many times. And Joy still doesn't come up either. How do so strange. Anybody else? 都有了哈。Master Fa-tzang's thesis draft. These are not shared. Please send your comments and edits to Sophia. Okay, now moving right along. Let's do a little bit of that. 因为我已经跟他联系说我们已经开始，所以叫我们很听。But we need to find 他的性格。You know, 他肯定在台南至少有一个嘛，不可能是没有。He must have somebody in China who wants to learn English and can come and join us. Because I don't think it's right that we're doing his translation You know, they should come. There must be somebody who can listen to them before. So contact him. Okay. Ming-Hui, read this one.
汉传戒律源流与不别取舍之初判。An introductory exploration into the source of mind and its deepest concepts, and their acceptance or rejection by other
Lineages. Yeah, lineages. Okay, Sophia.
戒律为佛法纲纪，修行解脱人道，悟道之根本。佛陀可谓摄取众生，断除三毒烦恼，令正法者住于世间而自净。The precepts are the guiding principles of the Buddha Dharma. They are the foundation of Buddhist purpose, the liberation from suffering and entering into the path to Buddha. The Buddha originally prescribed the precept to bring the Sangha together, to help Sangha members and disturbance caused by the
Caused. Yeah, it's one
by
syllable. Caused.
by the three poisons of ignorance, anger, and greed, and to keep the truth to the Dharma in the world.
How come your husband stopped coming to our classes? 3 years ago, he used to come to class. Your husband, your老公.
Oh, it's
How come he
long
stopped?
time ago.
Yeah, but why did he stop? 我是不是讲什么话？
No, he's not so interested in translation. Yeah, he's interested in taking care of our kids.
Oh, so we'll have to wait until you take us to high school.
Quite.
Okay, Joy. Read that. You Joy, right? 你是改了。
革灭后500劫集，首重律法劫集，为令圣教流传于不断。后虽部派分裂，化导有别，但理无二据，仍在各地弘传，济世人群。
Yes, please.
500 arhats began compiling the Buddha's teachings at what is called the Council of 500 soon after the Buddha's
Nirvana. Yeah.
Of chief importance was the compilation of the Vinaya Dharma, the precepts, to hand down the
Sacred.
teachings.
Sacred is sen, but most translations, unfortunately, they say holy. Holy is not really good. When you say holy, it's sort of like something created by God or God related. So I always use the word sacred. Sacred means we have a lot of respect for it. We don't destroy it. We venerate it. You know, like that. Sacred.
Sacred teachings. You
Nope.
Uninterrupted.
Yes, 打断. You see, interrupt. The root word is interrupt. Don't interrupt me. You got 打断我的话. Interrupt. Okay? So interrupted. 被打断. So uninterrupted 不被打断. You see? So that means 一直留不断.
Uninterrupted. Later, for Buddhism divided into sects, each with its own means of instruction. The principles remain the same as Buddhism circulated.
No, first time is correct.
Circulated.
Yeah, circulate. Accent on the first syllable. Very strange. Circulate.
Circulated. Everywhere benefiting people.
Okay, so next is Vita. So Vita, you need to read the English, read the Chinese, read the English, but this English is not correct. Okay, so I want you also to edit. I didn't completely edit it. So 看你英文修改多少. Now we need to practice. 因为已经学了3年了，可以了，可以一起考了。Okay, go ahead.
律学从曹魏家族年间传入中国，各部律的统时长廊，四律五经的翻译与数代的弘扬，经过勤俭笃德的勤奋深究，辛苦的经营，至唐代律学大备，蔚然成中，驰骋南山中、相部中、东塔中三足鼎立的局势。
Whoa. Okay, so look at this. First of all, what we should do, what are the terms that we need to look up? I think with this thesis, what we should spend time doing, because the grammar is easy, the language is easy, but what we should spend time doing is the terminology. He has a lot of these terms. We need to look them up and create our own glossaries. That's where we will be spending the time. So in this, okay, 弘扬经国语心. Yeah, so 浅显足德的精分成就，辛苦的经营至唐代。律学大备，蔚然成中。Okay, so Xinjiang, we have to find out that one. And just write a little bit about this because I'm translating this for American people. 不是为了给达赖喇嘛，而且那些已经懂的这些。I want to translate this for average American people who are saying, what is Buddhist practice? Buddhist practice is following precepts. Okay, why, how, where, what, da 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 da. So we need to give them all the vocabulary that they need. Okay, so that's my audience. All right, so that's why we're doing this. Okay, so go ahead, Vita, read the English.
The Vinaya was translated into China during the Jou-Yi period of the
Jiaping period of the Jou-Yi dynasty. You see, in Chinese style, 你们是大到小, English style is 小到大. So the period is part of the dynasty. The dynasty is big, the period is short. Okay?
Jiaping period of the Jou-Yi dynasty.
Now the other thing is that he did not do, you have to put the date. Okay, whenever you talk about dynasties, you have to put the date because American people, we don't know. You know, I want you to come to my house on my mother's birthday. You know, well, when's your mother's birthday? How would I know that? You know, yeah, American people don't know what's. So we have to give them the date.
249 to 254.
Okay, don't say 100. When you talk about dates, you just say 249 to 254.
Various Vinaya scrolls arrived later in China at that time, and translations of the four Vinaya and five sastras were more